In a quiet town, there once stood a little shop that didn't sell anything new, shiny, or perfect. Instead, it sold mistakes. Don't laugh, because sometimes the only thing more precious than what we do right is what we learned doing wrong. Come closer, sit near the counter, mind the clutter. And if this story brings a smile or a small shy of understanding, don't forget to subscribe so this little shop stays open for you every evening. Now, let's begin with the shop of honest mistakes. If you walked down the Maple Street in the old part of the town, you will pass a bakery that smelled like heaven, a watch repair shop that never seemed to close, and right between them a crooked little door with a hand painted sign, the shop of honest mistakes. Returns accepted, regrets optional. The shop had been there for a long time, and it has been there as anyone could remember. No one knew who owned it exactly. Some said it had always existed. Others swore it appeared only when people needed it. Inside, shelves were stacked with strangest things, cracked teacups labeled spoken too soon, faded photographs marked what could have been, tangled strings tagged unsent apologies, and a corner drawer filled with almosts. The air smelled of old paper and lavender. A small bell jingled every time the door opened, and from somewhere in the back came the voice of the shopkeeper, calm, measured, kind. His name was Eleanor Wren. Eleanor was perhaps 60, though her eyes looked older and her laughter younger. Her silver hair was always tied in a bun, a pencil tucked behind her ear. She wore a linen apron dusted with flour, thread, and a faint sparkle that nobody could quite explain. Every customer left her shop lighter than when they entered, though no one could say why. When people asked what she sold, Eleanor would smile and say, "I don't sell things, dear. I remind people they already have what they need, hidden inside their mistakes." Some people collect trophies of pride. Others, like Eleanor, collect the small proofs that we tried at all. And that, I think, is far rarer. One afternoon, a boy named Jamie Keller, no older than 12, wandered into the shop. He looked nervous, the way children do when they expect to be scolded. Eleanor looked up from her counter, smiled softly. "Good afternoon, sweetheart. What brings you here?" Jamie hesitated. I I broke something. It was my grandfather's watch. I was trying to fix it. Eleanor nodded, not the least bit surprised. And you wish to return it or mend it? The boy looked confused. Return it? It's mine. But I made a mistake. Oh, she said gently. Then you have come to the right aisle. Third shelf to your left. Mistakes made with love. Jamie blinked, uncertain whether she was joking. He walked slowly to the shelf and found a collection of objects: a burnt pie, a torn kite, a cracked picture frame. Each had a tiny handwritten tag describing it, for someone who meant well. He turned back to the Eleanor. Do people actually buy this? Eleanor smiled. No, dear. They come to understand them. It's a difference. She reached under the corner and brought out a small velvet tray. Show me the watch. Jamie placed it carefully on the tray. The glass was shattered, the hands frozen at 4:07. Eleanor tilted it towards the light. You tried to fix it for him, didn't you? Jamie nodded. He died last month. He said one day I would understand time. I thought if I could make it work again, maybe. His voice cracked. Eleanor rested her hand gently over his. Mistakes made out of love don't break things, Jamie. They reveal where our heart is still learning to hold. Then she did something unusual. She took out a small slip of parchment and wrote, Broken, trying to understand love. Valuable beyond measure. He tied the tag to the watch and placed it on the special shelf behind the counter, labeled in progress. Jamie frowned. But aren't you going to fix it? Eleanor smiled. No, dear. It already fixed something in you. Over the next week, people started whispering about the shop of honest mistakes. A young woman brought in a painting she'd ruined by accident. An elderly man brought a letter she had written but never sent. A baker brought a batch of burnt bread, muttering, I got distracted thinking of her again. Eleanor took each item, wrote a little tag, and returned it with a soft word or two. Never pity, only truth. When asked how her business survived, she would say, because there never been a shortage of mistakes, only of people willing to forgive them. Soon, folks began to visit not to trade but to talk. They would share stories of what went wrong and somehow live lighter. And every evening, when she closed the shop, Eleanor would whisper to herself, The shelves are heavy tonight. That means hearts are lighter. Oh, my dear, what a strange economy that is, when the currency is remorse and every transaction ends in grace. One winter evening, as snowflakes tapped against the glass, a man in a grey coat entered. He looked older, tired. The kind of tired that doesn't come from work but from regret. Eleanor recognized that look instantly. "Welcome," she said. "You are late. I have been expecting you." The man blinked. "Expecting me? How?" "People who carry silence for too long make a certain sound when they open doors," she said gently. He smiled weakly. "I've heard about this place. Thought it was nonsense." "It is," she said, "but nonsense can be healing if you listen right." He reached into his coat pocket and placed a crumpled envelope on the counter. "I wrote this letter to my daughter 20 years ago. Never sent it. Now she is gone. And I can't stop wishing I had." Eleanor didn't open the envelope. She simply placed her hand over it and said, "Words age differently than people. They never die. They just wait to be heard." She took the pen, write a tag, "Unsung Love," still singing. Then, to his surprise, she slipped the envelope into his coat pocket again. "You're not keeping it?" he asked. "No," she said. "You still need to carry it. Not as a weight, but as a proof that you weren't scared enough to write." The man left without another word. But 2 weeks later, a letter arrived for Eleanor herself. It said simply, "I finally read it aloud. Thank you, M." One morning, a young official from the town board arrived with a clipboard. "Mrs. Wren, this shop isn't licensed properly. You are not selling tangible goods. We have received complaints that you are encouraging sentimentality." Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "Is that a crime now?" The man hesitated. "We are practical town. People are saying your items have no measurable value." Eleanor smiled. "That's why they're priceless." He frowned. "If you can't provide proof of product worth, I'll have to shut this place down." Eleanor nodded calmly. "All right, give me an hour." She walked outside, rang the old bell above her door 3 times, a sound the whole street knew well. Within half an hour, a crowd had gathered: the baker, the teacher, the widow, the young mother, the painter, even Jamie with his broken watch. The official blinked. "What's going on?" Eleanor gestured. "Evidence." The townspeople stepped forward, one by one, holding small objects she'd once tagged. A man said, "She made me realize my mistakes with my son were the start of our friendship again." A woman added, "She taught me that my burnt bread was a price or the price of daydreaming about love, and that's bargain I would make twice. Jimmy raised his broken watch and whispered, "She helped me remember my grandfather's time wasn't gone, just still ticking inside me." The official's pen froze. He looked at Eleanor and for the first time saw that everyone else saw. Not a store filled with junk, but a museum of forgiveness. He cleared his throat. I I'll fill this under community service. Eleanor grinned. The rarest license of all. Months passed. The shop flourished. The shelves changed every week. But there was one section no one had ever seen, a small back room labeled staff only. One evening after closing, Jamie, now older, working part time to help her, asked, "What's in there, Miss Eleanor?" She smiled softly. "My own mistakes, dear." He blinked. "You? You don't make any?" "Oh, child," she laughed gently. "I have made thousands. And how I learned to be kind when others bring out theirs." She opened the door a crack, and Jamie glimpsed rows of shelves filled with unlabeled jars, each holding folded slips of paper, small broken things, letters, even a single wedding ring. "Why keep them?" he asked. "Because I promised to forgive myself last, once everyone else had gone first." Jamie frowned. "And when will that be?" Eleanor smiled. "When the shop no longer needs me." Years later, on a spring morning, the townsfolk arrived to find the shop closed for the first time. The bell did not ring. The sign read, "Closed for renovation," within the heart. They waited a week, then two, then someone noticed a new plug under the window. "Mistakes still accepted. Look within." Eleanor had passed peacefully in her sleep, a pen in her hand, her final note left on the counter. "Every mistake I kept was a seed. You watered them all. Now let the world bloom." And just like that, the shop was gone, shelves empty, walls bare, sunlight streaming through the dust that looked almost golden. But when people walked home that day, they saw little tags tied to everyday things. A chipped mug, a crooked picture frame, a mismatched pair of shoes, each with tiny writing that says, "Still beautiful." A month later, a new sign appeared above the old doorway. It read, "The Workshop of Honest Repairs." Inside, now grown up Jamie sat behind the counter, fixing watches, mending shoes, gluing handles, and sometimes just listening. And on his counter always was Eleanor's bell, still chiming when someone entered with trembling hands. Whenever a customer apologized for something they had broken, Jamie would smile and say, "No trouble at all. Around here, mistakes are half the magic." There will always be a shop somewhere, perhaps not with a bell or shelves, but in the corner of your heart where forgiveness is waiting to open its door. Remember Eleanor's word: mistakes are not signs of failure. They're receipts that prove we are brave enough to try. So, if you ever break something precious, a trust, a promise, or even a plan, don't throw it away. Tag it, valuable beyond measures, and keep it on yourself until you can smile it again. If tonight's story made you breathe a little easier, subscribe and keep this old shop open with your listening heart. Tomorrow night, we will visit another corner of life where someone else is listening and someone else is learning to turn mistakes into meaning. Until then, my dear one, be gentle with yourselves.